Welcome to this episode of Inside The Muzic. Today we're talking to Bendan from Apollo SteamTrain.
Thanks for having me, man.
Least I can do.
Cheers.
So good to have you up in Auckland. You're Tauranga based.
Yep. We've just battled the motorway. Just a 4-hour trip today. So, but we're here. I'm here. I hope the rest of the band is on the way somewhere.
Yeah, one thing you should always know: Auckland traffic, never underestimate it.
Absolutely, man. It seems to have gotten heaps worse since I left, which is 12 years. And I used to have a driving job in Auckland, and I thought it was bad then. So, yeah, I reckon it's doubled, easy doubled.
Yeah.
For a Saturday, hey, I mean, you would never drive down the motorway on a Saturday 10 years ago, and it would be packed.
Oh, you can't forget Ed Sheeran as well.
That's true. Yeah. The master Ed is here.
He is.
Brace yourself.
Ruining everything.
Yeah.
But while Ed's here, you're up for a show at Ding Dong Lounge?
Yep, we're here to play our first Auckland gig with a band called Ocean Beach, who's some old mates of mine from Dunedin days, and some guys called Subscond, who are Hamilton and Auckland based, sort of a mixed bag that we met last year playing Navara Lounge at one point. So yes, looking forward to it. Hope a few people are going to come along and are not going to Ed.
I'll be there.
Oh, excellent, cool. Well, that makes 4, 5, 7 people.
Yes, good start.
Yeah, man, cool.
So tell me, how did the band get started? I hear you were the pioneer.
I was, yeah. So I just got sick of playing covers, which I'd been doing this time around in my musical journey for about 4 or 5 years when I first moved to Tauranga. And I used to play a lot of original music when I was in my 20s, and that just sort of ended because of family and just day job commitments, and just life sort of got in the way, and it petered away. So I got back into music and got into covers, but then just realised, I've got to play my own stuff. So that was 2014, and I didn't know any other musicians that wanted to play original music in Tauranga at that point. So I just went into a studio and demoed a whole heap of tracks by myself. And because of just life and day job commitments, that took about 15 months. So pretty slow going. But we came out the other side of it, and I played it to my old friend Jan Halregal, and she signed a publishing deal straight away. And then a couple of tracks were used in Shorten Street. So just off the back of that sort of mild success, I was like, okay, there could be something quite fresh and quite good happening here. So, start of 2016, I started to then look around for musos, see who I could find, and it's taken a year and a half to finally sort of get the lineup right. The band's been playing, did about 7 or 8 gigs last year, and about 3 or 4 in 2016. But yeah, we've recently just moved to a 4-piece, and this lineup is good. Feels right for reproducing the studio sound live. So yeah, it's a bit of a journey. It's probably a little bit slower in the evolution of a brand new band than perhaps if we were 20 years younger, but it's good. We're enjoying ourselves. It's going well.
So you did all the recording stuff yourself? Like you did all the parts, all the instruments?
Almost. We did live drums,
yeah.
So I'm not a good enough drummer to track at a studio level. So yeah, I used a session drummer, and then I did just all the bass, all the guitar, and then the producer or the guy around the studio, he did a lot of keyboard and piano, and then we midied up some strings for a few bits and pieces. But it was so just pretty much myself and this guy Tim, and came out with what has now become what we call the demos. It was going to just be a studio project, and so I was just going to put it out there as an album.
Yeah.
But then when we started to get a little bit of industry interest, it was like, well, we'll just slow down now. Mm-hmm. And so we took that batch of songs, and then we actually got one remixed by Clint Murphy. So through the music managers board, the MMF. Yeah. So through the MMF, I met James Southgate, and who's Devilskin's current manager. Yep. And he said, let's get a track in front of Clint Murphy in the UK. So I don't know who Clint was at the time. So I was like, yep, cool, fine. Let's let someone do a remix. And he came back, and of course it sounded pretty huge. So it was like, okay, well, fine. So we've got one huge sounding track. Well, that's cool. We put one huge sounding track out there. People are going to go, have you got another one? And at the time we didn't. So we said, okay, that's fine. Well, we'll slow down completely. And so the band just practiced. And while that was happening, we saved some money and went to Roundhead and recorded 2 more with Greg Haver. And that went through the whole Nick Portman, Clint Murphy chain as well. So, so that was what Brain Bell Jangler is. Brain Bell Jangler is the first track that came from our Roundhead sessions last year. So, yeah. So now we're on sort of a journey of just rinse and repeat, where Brain Bell Jangler's been out since 2 months. And so we're probably on the end of the life of that single. So next one's ready to go. So we're just literally picking them out of the bank and releasing them from now and just play gigs and have fun. Yeah.
That's an important part.
Yeah.
So how did you find your other musicians in your band?
The old-fashioned way mostly, which is interesting. The drummer, well, actually it's a long story. Les Robinson was a drummer for a while, but he's now done a bit of a Dave Grohl and jumped on the guitar. So he had a notice up on a music shop board advertising himself as I think a bass player, because he's one of those people that you hate who can play anything.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of solo gigs to get money, just normal restaurants, sort of sit in the corner, play covers on acoustic guitar stuff. I do heaps of that to get money to put into originals for recording videos, that sort of thing. And so I had found this and rang him up. The guy had said to me, he can play drums as well. So I rang him up and said, do you want to come and have a jam? And he's like, yep, cool, when? I said, well, I've got a gig tonight. He goes, I'll bring my bass then. And I'm like, no, I want you to play drums. He goes, it'll be all right. So we go and do this gig on bass, and I'm like, well, shit, man, if you can play a bass like that, then I don't even need to see you play drums. so do you want the drumming gig? He's like, yeah, cool. So that's how I met him. And then we had another bass player that I knew from local circles for a while, but then he got really busy, and I literally found Ian Clark through just Facebook. And that got us going. So it was about August 2016. Yeah. So we did a few gigs as a 3-piece. But while all this recording and stuff that was going on, I was telling you about before, we generally realised that we needed to be a 4-piece. And so it's taken us most of 2017 to find the right person. So what we did was Les did the Dave Grohl thing and moved to guitar, and then a drummer that I've known for years, a guy called James Boss. Has been sort of just in the Tauranga music circle for quite a while, so I just said, hey man, do you want the drum gig? He went, yep. So yeah, so now we're a bunch of 4 dudes living the dream, I guess. Yeah.
So how's it working as a 4-piece so far?
Yeah, really well. This is actually only our 3rd gig. So this Brain Bell Jangler tour is the first of the 4-piece lineup, and yeah, it's good. It gives me as a lead vocalist a lot more freedom to not have to worry so much about my guitar parts, because yeah, it is a big responsibility playing guitar and singing, and trying to reproduce stuff you've made in the studio where you're completely free and you've laid down 200 tracks. And I was like, how are we going to make that sound like that up there with just one guitar? So yes, it's going great so far, and it gives me the chance to jump on acoustic as well, so we can bring the sound down from a really big sort of wall of rock, electric guitars, just down a layer, and just have acoustic guitar, which is it's a nice floating ethereal layer with some good electric over the top. So yeah, so far man, it's good. Yeah, loving it. Yeah.
So is it still you writing all the parts?
Mainly me. Essentially because of that start that we had, where the demos had 10 tracks, and then I'd had multiple tracks that I kept sort of bringing in. But yeah, so mainly me, but we've got a couple of songs that we've collaborated on that have just been, hey, I've got this one that's sort of 80%, and we just bring it in and away we go. So it's becoming more of a team effort, which is it's what I wanted, but I knew that back in 2014, because I had so much back catalogue, that it would be a case of what I would do is set up a Kickstarter to get the band's content moving, and then with the right people we'd start writing together and just move forward as a band. So yeah.
So how difficult is it, being on the road now? You say you have to do covers and things to make money, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard for everybody. I was just listening on the way up to Joe Walsh on a podcast, and even Echo Park just finished their third album, and he stops saying it's no one's got any money. It's pretty obvious that there isn't any money to be made from original music. So yeah, it's tough, but because I come from that side of the entertainment industry and playing covers, it was a case of, well, here's a place where there is still value in music, or in live music anyway, and it's you can actually get paid pretty well. I mean, there's a lot of dudes around that pick up an acoustic guitar, and that's what they make their living off. So yeah, it is tough though, because even mainly in our situation, being at the age we're at, because obviously you're not 20, and we've all got families and commitments and to day jobs that we've had for years, that we can't just sort of like give up because we want to be rock stars.
Yeah.
So it's mainly time overall. Money's not too difficult, but because we self-fund everything, but there's often 2 or 3 of us putting in money from covers gigs to work towards the latest goal, some recording of a series or a new video. So there's mainly time. Time is the tough one.
Is it difficult to balance it all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. A complete absolute nightmare, in fact.
Never sleeps as well.
Yeah. I mean, just mobile phone. I mean, I'm from the generation that watched mobile phones come in, and I don't know how you could have done it without a mobile phone. Mainly from how you have to do all the publicity and all the admin and everything yourself when you're in a band or in a group that's at this level. We don't have a manager, we don't have anyone helping us, so you've got to be it. And it's I'm sort of the main techno guy, because I'm in IT as a day job, so I'm sitting in front of a computer all day, and so I get to do all make all the promo and posters and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, man, it's tough, but all of that seems to go away as soon as you strike the first chords, and that's really cheesy, I suppose, but it's still the same. So the 150 hours that you do, to build up to a gig for that 1 hour is at the moment still worth it. At the moment, yeah.
Well, hopefully it continues on for a while.
Yeah, it's looking forward to some bigger stages. It's a strange place to be in my situation, having done music my whole life and played on some big stages for covers reasons, or for supporting other people. For example, I was just talking to Rob from the other band that's playing tonight about trying to remember what the last gig I did was in Auckland, and I think it was playing in the Managers, who were around at the time, because Rob was the guitarist in the Managers, and he'd taken off to do Lord of the Rings, because in the year 2000 everybody in the music industry went over to Peter Jackson's house and got a job on Lord of the Rings. Anyway, I took over his role in the Managers, but only for 2 gigs. And yeah, we did a gig which blew my mind out at East Auckland somewhere, past Penrose somewhere, and it was in front of 5,000 people, on a normal sort of outdoor stage.
Yeah.
So it's odd to have come from doing, having that experience, and throughout the years playing, big covers gigs. I've done corporate level stuff inside ASB Stadium, that sort of thing, to writing your own material and having to accept, no man, you're down here. There's only you go stand in front of the drum kit there. So I don't know. It's odd, but it's just part of it. It's good. Yeah.
So what's the music community like in Tara?
It's getting better. I don't think it's ever been in a bad place, but it's just lack of small venue is what's causing everybody to suffer at the moment. There's a plenty of bands around, but because there's nowhere to play, a lot of people just give up pretty quickly. The covers scene has always been well supported, and of course we've got that big jazz festival. So if we're talking just specifically for rock, or even perhaps some parts of reggae, but there's some big festivals that are on now that are sort of supporting that side of things. But yeah, there's no smaller venues. Like I know, like Auckland's suffering. King's Arms is gone, but there's still, you know, Galtos, Ding Dong, where we're playing, Thirsty Dog. You know, still sort of like a handful of smaller rooms, 100 to 150. But in Tauranga, we've only just got the one, which is Totara Street, and that's a little bit out of the reach of just your local original bands. It's great for touring. It's brought a whole lot of New Zealand and overseas touring bands to Tauranga, which is good, but it's not really supporting the local music scene. So
good if you've already got that fan base there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So mainly because it's Toad Street's a fantastic venue, and you pay money up front, but what you get for that is A-class rig, sound rig, A-class lighting, but of course that's non-refundable, and to try and drag 250 people into that venue when you are still developing your band or developing your brand, if you will, it's just too much of an ask. Everyone's the same though. Everybody's out there just trying to make it happen. There's a few rooms around town. We just played in a smaller function room on the side of a bar called Imbibe, which was good, and it turned out to be pretty sweet. Really, it was had a 50 capacity, and we packed it out, so we were happy. So it's you just do what you got to do. It's pretty much the same as Auckland, I guess. Just Auckland works with what resources they've got, and we work with what resources we got. Yeah,
no, I just find it quite funny because a lot of the Auckland bands, their next biggest fan base isn't actually like in Hamilton or another nearby. Tauranga is usually the second biggest fan base for them.
Yeah. It works well for the bands coming down and grouping up, which is good. That's sort of where I'm trying to take my band as well into realising that the value, if you will, that's left in music is about forming communities. So the likes of your Caridian Boys, which we know, and just did their tour with four bands on the road, and with 4 bands together, you can afford to pay and get the good, use the good quality venues, and hopefully between 4 bands you'll attract enough to make it a good night. So it's an interesting one, eh? What's your thoughts on that community side of it?
It's a complicated topic.
It is, it is. I have this chat a lot, and I find it really interesting that reggae in our country has survived and become huge, and I think it's because the whole reggae is about whānau, and it's a community thing. That's even with the One Love Festival, so many people will be going along there, not actually going to see any individual band. They're just going because of the festival type atmosphere. Which is it's a bit of a generalisation. Of course, you go to a festival like that, but the whole survival of reggae throughout our country, I think, is because people just accept that it's all about family and it's all community. And I don't know that we've quite got there with rock like that. For a while there, I thought we were still perhaps all fighting each other, but I'm seeing good things from the Auckland boys. They're really leading the way, I think, and realising that we've got to work together.
Yeah, there has been a lot of competition, I suppose, between the acts. They used to fight for the right venues and fight for the good weekends, and now it's kind of you've got to be on the same page. Yeah, to survive, because of the younger generation coming through is just not supporting rock the way they used to, because they've got so much more digital options available to them. So it's good. The Auckland City Limits that was on last year that JP put together, that was good. It was impressive. The Auckland City Rock Fest.
Was it Rock Fest? That was. Yeah, not City Limits. That's sorry, JP. I know you probably going, sweet, I'll take it. Yeah. You might have to edit that.
Let him get the glory.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get there. It's a little tricky. There aren't too many more. There aren't. I think maybe 2 other sort of rock bands in Tauranga that are trying to push like we are. So it's just a population thing. Just covering off the whole Tauranga question. Yeah.
So, what else have you got in store for 2018?
Yep, more releases. Sort of the Brain Bell Jangler release, of course, was our first big release with, trying to get support from blogs, New Zealand Musician, and with a proper video, etc. So I'm just going to rinse and repeat that formula with our next single, which is the second track from Roundhead. And after this tour's finished, I'm going straight home to try and make a video as cheap as possible. And yeah, just keep pushing content out there, and just get on the circuit. It's pretty easy to get hooked once you start to do a few gigs over a short space of time.
Yeah.
You sort of realise that it's that's actually what it's all about, is that time on stage. So yeah, more please. Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the questions I've got. So
cool, man.
Good luck with the show tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for the chat. It's cool.